Hey guys, so I had the tadpoles, and I had actually 3 different containers of tadpoles, and I was going to compare them. I was doing like daily updates on what they were looking like growth wise and comparing them in different environments. Feeding the chickens right now too. And the kids were loving it. It was like a science experiment kind of thing for them. What's wrong? Just got spooked by something. But Matt thought that they were, too many of them were dying, so he let them all go into the creek behind the house. But we had another storm and a lot more tadpoles. So I did gather 2 more containers of tadpoles because there are so many. I gotta show you this. So this is ridiculous. Like these, we couldn't believe it when we came out here and saw how many tadpoles there were. Like I thought that was something on top of the water because they were all like really light colored. They were actually all kind of a tan and translucent, and they were just all on the top of the water. So this whole area was filled with water from that pool. Oh my goodness. No, chickens, don't come drink the tadpole water. Thanks. But all of this was filled with water too, so I keep coming out here and refilling it. We're trying to save them. I know, it's silly, but they're just so cool. The kids love tadpoles. I love them. And it seems like every time that the frogs or toads or whatever's laying all these eggs lay them, the tadpoles end up looking kind of different. So that was another reason why I was gathering so many different containers of tadpoles earlier, was because they all looked a little different. And now these looked a lot different. Oh my goodness, look how many there are over there too. These looked a lot different yesterday. They're starting to kind of look like the ones that we've had before, like a lot more like black, but they have like a gray underbelly on some of them, so that's different. But yeah, they're cool, huh? I'm gonna keep trying to keep water in this puddle and try to keep some of these guys alive as long as the chickens don't eat all of them. I just couldn't believe how many there were this time. The last couple of times that we found any tadpoles out here, it was like maybe a couple of hundred, if that. I kid you not, it was like tens of thousands yesterday. Yeah, and almost all this was dried up when I got up this morning, so I refilled it all. And some of them actually came back to life because they were just kind of squirming in the mud, and then they just started swimming like crazy. But a lot of them have died. Like this is just nuts. This is crazy. I've never seen this many tadpoles. This year is the first time that we've ever had frogs or toads or whatever these are lay eggs in our backyard, and they're just going like crazy. This is another pool over here. See if I can get, like, look how many there are. There's just so many. It is crazy. See, like right here, let's see, where is that? Right there. We're about to refill this again. These guys are dying. I know, it's silly saving tadpoles. There's plenty of frogs, but why not help if we can, huh? Over here too. There's so many that are drying up over here. So we'll fill all this back up. So like from here, all the way over there, into that big area. That pool's starting to get some water in it too. There we go. You can see them all getting moved around by the current. And all the way back there. That one had almost no water back there either. So yeah, again, we're silly, but we're gonna keep filling this up as much as we can. I've gathered quite a few, but it's just, it was crazy coming out here and seeing how many tadpoles there were out here. Like I just love it. I'm the one who really loves amphibians and reptiles in this house. Matt's into the bugs, but this is my thing. And hopefully the ones that we have in the house will get bigger, and I'll show you the progress of them too. I don't know if it's really sustainable as trying to constantly fill that puddle up and keep them alive. I don't know what else to do right now for them. Like, if we didn't do anything, it would have completely dried up by now and all of them would have died, other than the ones that I took inside. Baby, I'm coming in. Oh my goodness. Can't spend any time outside anymore. Now, I'll show you the ones that we have in the house. So we got this container full of only about 15 about a week ago. There were just a few tadpoles in that puddle. And so I got these, so they've gotten a lot bigger. These aren't like the jet black ones that we had before with all the ones during the tropical storm. They're definitely a dark gray. There's one. There's not as many, like I said. I got 15, a couple of them died, but they've gotten pretty big pretty fast. And then these guys are ones that I just collected today out of that puddle with those thousands. So I grabbed a little too many, but I didn't know if I was gonna be able to keep up with going out there and filling up the puddle with water. See, these are a lot lighter colored, a lot more translucent than any of the other batches of tadpoles that we've gotten so far. So I don't know if they're all the same species. These guys actually yesterday had what looked like gills. All the rest of the tadpoles that we've collected over the past couple of months have not had the gills, and it looked like they kind of had like two segments to their body. So I don't know if they're different species. I guess we really don't know until they're fully grown. Yeah, there's so many. I'm definitely gonna have to get either a bigger container or just thin out these guys and put some back in that pond out there. Because it seems like in this size container, it's pretty small. They're pretty small containers. A good amount is like 10 to 15. Another thing is I've noticed their behavior. These guys from like a week ago, they like to stay in the mud. Like, that's the first thing that they did, even when they were this size. They would just dig their heads into the mud and stay there. They didn't like to float on top. All the rest of them that we've ever gotten like to float on top. So I don't know what kind all of these are, but it'll be really cool to see them as they grow. So hopefully we can keep them alive and keep them happy in these containers or different containers over the next couple of weeks. Look at them making bubbles. So some of them, even though I think they're only about 2 weeks old, on some of them you can kind of start seeing like little back leg buds coming in. These are the ones I got yesterday. Oh my gosh. These are so active. They will not stop moving. They are all over the place. I know there's way too many in there. I have to figure out what to do, or if I'm just gonna go ahead and let nature take over and toss them into that large canal in the back or not. They are going after all the food that I put in there. I put also the boiled lettuce in there and some food pellets. They're going after all of it. Yeah, they're going crazy. And these are a lot grayer and more translucent than any of the other ones that I've ever had. See, that's like, you can see, the kids are going crazy right now. You can see clearly into their body and all their organs. That's crazy. The other ones you really couldn't see like that. Like, they were a little transparent. But these guys, completely. I don't know if it's different species, just different weather that they were born in. I have no idea. There's only 25 in that one. I did put some food in there too. They don't seem to be going after their food, but they're probably stressed from drying out, getting more water, drying out, getting more water outside. So, like, some of them I actually scooped up from the mud because there was no water. It was just, they were laying in mud, and I put them in water and they started swimming again. So yep, these are our 3 containers right now. I gotta do something about this one. Interesting to see how they all develop. I have seen some tutorials on how to raise tadpoles and frogs from like eggs, and it showed that it could take 7 days for them to even hatch on some species. And these guys, they hatch the same day, and they're swimming around like this within 24 hours. So I don't know if it's just because it's so hot and the water is like evaporating so quickly that spurs them to develop faster. Because it seems like indoors they do start to slow in their development, but when they're outside, it's like they triple in size within like 48 hours compared to just like very, very little growth inside. Our new adventure into trying to raise these tadpoles. Hopefully they survive. Hopefully Matt doesn't throw them out into the canal again. It's what they do. If you really want them to all survive, then you have to start sorting them by size as they grow, because they're not all going to grow symmetrically. Some people say to only have like one in each container, but that's not gonna happen. It's just natural, selection. They're gonna eat whatever is small enough to eat. I'm going to keep as much food in the containers as possible for them to, so they don't have to resort to cannibalization, but it's kind of what they do anyway. I'll just go check on the situation outside one more time. Like I said, I don't know what I can really do to keep that puddle full. It's just bound to happen. All of this, so it's always like this little area, that's a pretty big hole over there, and this area, the water stays. You guys keep drinking the water whenever I come over here to look at these guys. Poor things. You guys aren't helping. And you can see there's some in here, but there's a lot of dead ones in there too. These are all, you can see little black spots. They're actually still moving in there. So if I fill all this up again, those will be okay. But for how long, I don't know. Like that, poor little guys. They're all over the place. Those are all the dead ones, since this keeps just drying up so quickly. There's a little pond, a little pool over here. I think I could save some of those, but most of those in that little pool were dead too. So this is what we're dealing with. This is like all that's left out here. And a lot of the ones in here are not alive anymore either. I checked. I guess I'll fill it up one more time and then figure out if I'm gonna come out here and collect any more of them. I'll give them at least one more day of survival. All the way back here. You guys, stop stepping through the puddle. So usually what I do is I'll just put it like in the grass so that it won't make it all murky. It just flows into the puddles and fills them up again. If we have any that start moving again once the water reaches over here. So I think a lot of these guys are still alive. Are they swimming? Or they're just being pushed by the current? Yeah, I see some in there swimming. Fill it all up again. Give them a few more hours. Trying to save the tadpoles didn't work out too well. The water is draining every couple of hours. So I came out here this morning, it was completely drained. There's a couple still alive in there. So the most I can do is try to save the few that are left, and then just let this drain, because like all of them have died basically. There's maybe like 10 I think that I could find left this morning. Yeah, this one's already completely drained again too. This one had a handful still alive in there too. Ugh. It's just too hot. I can't keep the water. I couldn't keep the water in there. This is how we get to the eggs. Back here, this whole back lifts up, and then see, there's all the eggs, and they already broke one again. One gets broody and breaks eggs. Yay, so I gotta scoop that out. Let's see if I can get this in focus. So I was only able to save 4 more. That's all I could find still living in there. So go add these guys to one of the containers. Okay, a little update on our tadpoles. Since I got the lights on, it is days of rain, so it hasn't been sunny, so I haven't been able to get any video in here. This is the container that we got about a week before we got these other 2. These guys are growing really big. Let's see if I can get any footage of these tadpoles. It's really hard to get any pictures of the ones in here because they hide. Here's a tail of one. But these guys like to hide. And they've been like that since I first got them. They just did not want to be at the surface at all. There's one. There's a couple of them. They wanted to try to find somewhere to hide. And they would even start burying themselves into the dirt. So I don't know what they are. And they were only like a couple of hundred outside whenever I caught these guys. Oh, there's one. So these guys are really dark. They're like almost black. You couldn't see their underside, unlike these guys. So this is the first batch that I got. There are way too many in here. I know it's raining, like I said, like crazy. So I'm going to have to set some of these guys free to thin them out, because yeah, there's way too many in there. So this is the same batch that I got when I got these guys. And so you can see the difference. Like these guys have grown twice as big because this is overpopulated, but they were hatched on the same day. So these guys, I just scooped up as many as I could when I saw how quickly the water was draining. And both of these, they like to stay at the surface, even with like their backs out of the water, which is so much different from these guys. So I'm like, that's why I'm not convinced that they're all the same type of frog or toad. But these guys, they're not as active. These, I guess, because there's so much competition. I have no idea what they are. I haven't been able to identify them. So I made sure to only I put 25 in here at first, and then the last day that there was any water outside, I caught the last 4 that I could find surviving. So there's only 29 in here, but they've grown so much faster than these itty bitty guys. So yeah, I need to do something to help them. I don't have any bigger tanks, so I'm just gonna have to let them go. These guys seem really happy. These, when I can find some, there's one staring at me, huh? So these guys, they, you know, some of them have some back leg buds growing, but it's not really easy to see. These you can actually see them breathing. So they like to stay with their like head sticking out of the water like that, see? don't know if this is normal behavior or whatnot, but I'm new to raising frogs. I just felt that if I didn't try, all of them were gonna die out there.